All right, so we are jumping into chapter 11, which is all about area. Today we are going to be covering 11.1, areas of parallelograms and triangles. So we've talked about parallelograms before. We covered that in chapter 6. So for the parallelogram area, we just have a formula we follow. And that formula just says base times height. And what that means is the length of the base, the length of one side of the base, times the height at a right angle. So you need like the perpendicular height, basically. So you're not going to follow this is not height. It's not at a right angle. It has to be at a right angle. Height must be perpendicular to base. Okay, so it's a good thing to remember. The height must be perpendicular to base. Otherwise, it's not the height of your parallelogram. So if I take a look at my first example, I have a base down here at the bottom. This side is 2.5 meters. Now the height, remember, what did I just say about the height? The height has to be perpendicular to the base. So is 2 my height? No, it's just the length of the other side. I don't need that information. I want this height, 1.8 meters, like that. So my area is base times height, so I'm going to take 2.5 times 1.8, and that's going to give me 4.5 meters squared. So something you have to remember and get in the habit of remembering is that anytime you deal with area, you are going to have to square the units because you're multiplying 2 meters by each other. So if you think about it, that's like saying, so if I rewrite this, 2.5 meters times 1.8 meters. The 2.5 and the 1.8 I can multiply together and get 4.5. And then meter times meter is just like saying x times x, which would be meters squared. So keep that in mind, please. You must square unit of measure. Must square your unit of measure. So let's look at another one. I've got finding the area of the perimeter, the parallelogram. I've got a base. So the base is 30. My height is 18 meters. So area is just going to give us 30 times 18, and 30 times 18 is 540 meters squared. So that's the first part. It says area and perimeter. So I'm going to have 2 steps here. So I'm going to just kind of add some dash lines so that my area information is all together. And now I'm going to work on the perimeter. So for the perimeter, I'm going to need the side lengths. We know I have a parallelogram. Think about that word, parallelogram. Opposite sides are congruent. So EF and HG are congruent. So this is also 30 at the top. But I am missing these congruent sides. I do not have EH or FG. So I'm going to have to find it. So I'm going to label FG as X. And if I look there, I have a right triangle. And so if I want to find the missing side of a right triangle, all I have to do is a little Pythag. So first, to find X, I'm going to do a little Pythag. So 18 squared plus 5 squared equals X squared. And with my handy dandy calculator, that tells me X squared is equal to 349. I'm going to square root that. And that gives me x is equal to, let's just leave it as the square root. That'll be easier for multiplying things through, actually. You could go ahead, but you want to remember to take all of your decimals with you. So it might just be easier to leave it like that for now. Okay, so now for the actual perimeter. Now that I know what x is going to be equal to root 349. So for perimeter, so that's all four sides added together. So I have 2 30s plus 2 root 349s. And that's going to give me my perimeter. So with my calculator, I'm going to just do this real quickly. Make sure I'm using parentheses when I multiply, just in case I accidentally type something incorrectly. 349. There we go. And then I am going to round my answer to the nearest tenth. So for my final answer, I'm going to round it to the nearest tenth. So my perimeter is going to be 97.4 meters. And perimeter, we're not multiplying the units of measure. So it does not get meters squared. You're just adding units of measure together. You're not multiplying. So it's just 9.7 meters squared.